Hello, hello. Switch main screen. All right, so I think now we're all settled in. How is everybody doing? Hi. How are y'all feeling? Everybody on Twitch? Everybody on Discord? Having a good day? If so, perfecto. And if not, that's okay. Take care of yourselves for the rest of your day. And hey, hopefully I can be some nice background noise at the least. You know, you know. Awesome. Feeling great. That's feeling great. Says K on Discord. I mean, I guess it's on streamer mode, but um if I'm not gonna show anything private, as long as I keep it that way and just don't show any usernames, if we kind of like have a little screen for connecting the two thingamajigs, we should be okay. So like, okay, yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I'll only just show like the Discord chat to Twitch, and you guys can all look over at twitch.tv/magicmaddie if there's something you want to see on that end. Um, More so, it's gonna be like two different ways of everybody talking to each other. I'll make sure to keep tabs on both versions of this panel, and as long as that is all good, I mean, it kind of writes itself at that point. We should be good. Okay. So then, hello everybody. My name is Magic Maddie. For those here in PersonaCon 2024, welcome back for the fourth and final day of PersonaCon 2024. It's been a really good con from what I've been able to catch wind of so far, be it VODs, when I can actually see live for myself. Some of the booths I've gone by just as like, or like little artist booths to go by, just as like a little writing down some friends of mine even, or other artists who I might want to definitely watch for in the future. Or I guess kind of just stock their portfolio and see what comes out of this stuff in the fan art department. Well, actually, I mean, I guess obviously stalking. Hyperbolic. No, they're on walking on the street, and I'm Yusuke about to hold out my hand like, hey, I want to commission you. Hey. But the irony is that they're the artist in that case, not me, when I'm supposed to be the artist. But I digress. Actually, what I did forget to do, I knew I was freaking forgetting something. I just gotta link at least the Twitch stream to my socials. Really, I think I can just leave it at Discord and Twitter for today. Since those are pretty much the two socials I've been talking about the PersonaCon on so far, since I've still got to actually make an actual freaking habit out of my Tumblr and Blue Sky. Not often Instagram, because just the image first over text format is just not quite my strong suit. And then apparently it's been using AI, so it's like, okay, yeah, well, definitely Instagram is going to be like once on a blue moon, check it. And the moment I see garbage and or nothing, I'm out. All right, there we go. All right. Okay, so yeah, hello everybody. If you're here for PersonaCon 2024, I hope your last day here has been a lovely time, and we'll be happy to see you as soon as PersonaCon 2025 is confirmed, even if it's just an attendee. But then again, I'll probably be able to cook up something for next year for panels and whatnot. But even if it is just attendee, if like, I don't know, I ended up in a haunted house and just, the ambiance just really is not appropriate for panels, I'll be there. I will be there. Let me tell you. Live for the last panel of PersonaCon. I am just gonna leave it at that. Vabamo. Okay. All right. Does anybody in either or version of this Discord or Twitch want to type out real quick? Before I get started, just making sure I didn't suddenly black out or whatever. That's a very ominous way of phrasing it. I apologize. Just so it's like, hey, people can hear me. I'm not accidentally talking to the wall, even if by complete accident, but Okay. All right then. So yeah. Oh, don't mind the puppy. He's just rolling on the floor. Sometimes he doesn't need me to give him a frick ton of like belly rubs, or more just just like really aggressive like belly massages. um to just lay himself on the floor, kind of toss back and forth and just enjoy himself. You know, he's a good dog. He's a divine creature. I love my dog. Anyways, all right, so welcome to the third and final panel of this year's PersonaCon that I'll be hosting. And if you couldn't tell by the title, it is a pretty self-explanatory, easy peasy cakewalk premise and how we're going about things. And it is as simple as as simple as it looks from the title card or whatnot. It is a Persona and Shin Megami Tensei and ATLUS as a whole little chat and chill power hour or power by hours. You could probably go for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. 2 hours is when we got to completely cut the breaks, but yeah. So, how this is going to work, if assuming it's not too self-explanatory even with that, is that basically this is kind of a little hour where I'm still going to be the only person on the mic, especially when I don't think they can dole out mod rules to everybody just so they can talk on this panel. But it keeps things a little orderly. Is that I'll talk, but people can text in the chats, and I'll be sure to make sure everything is relayed from Twitch to Discord and Discord to Twitch. Essentially, it's just kind of a little hour or 2 hours where we can kind of just, as simple as it is, we kind of just can geek out over the games, as simple as it is. We can talk about any favorite, people can like just spout out. It doesn't even have to be anything like super deep or like that brings on like minutes on end of me yapping and or everybody in general having very philosophical message to put in respective chats. It's essentially like you can just shout out real quick, I like this game because da 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 da, and we can actually address that. We can either be like, oh, I might have not played Shin Megami Tensei if that is a sad fact of mine. Or I find it kind of sad. I don't know. But it sounds like a great game. And hey, apparently that's the one SMT game that really, really spun off Persona into its own thing. Or like in this game, I like Bob and Dave are my favorite characters because Bob da 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 da, and then Dave was so cool when da 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 da. That kind of thing. Again, and if you want to like maybe ask a question or ask the audience about like certain philosophies that any of the games present and what their takes on it are. If you want to ask in general, what's everybody's take on so-and-so or Fantasy Megami Tensei 6, that is something you can do too. Persona 3 Portable is epic. For example, from Feather on Discord, is epic, and people should give it a chance. You know what? I can agree with that. I do personally feel that the visual presentation was kind of a bummer as somebody who looks at the Portable and thinks like, the Portable is perfectly fine. They could have put in some of the FES cutscenes without making it a whole visual novel thing. But even so, like, it's still got a lot of pros to it. The battle is, even if just slightly more, it's more streamlined and smooth. You can control your party members without having to do, I don't know, apparently they didn't even give you the option to go from acting freely to follow your player's commands in FES, but they gave you that in Portable finally. And of course, FemC, like, if you gotta go back to Portable nowadays for anything, you gotta go back for FemC, hands down. Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. And it's not even like Portable's visuals or like visual novel-esque thing is like, ooh, so ugly. In fact, even though it's kind of not as great as actually walking around in the school, I do kind of appreciate how, like just kind of maneuvering a cursor over the buildings was kind of a way to work with the Portable instead of around the Portable. I wish it didn't quite extend to the cutscenes where it really is just stills or the sprites for the characters doing all the talking or lack thereof. But like other than that, like I will say at least navigating things will not as exciting as walking around as Makoto or Minato himself is still kind of a cool way to work with the portable, not around it. Take notes that one Mortal Kombat 1 port for the Nintendo Switch that started off really goddamn ugly. Like, I know the Switch isn't the most powerful console, but it's still got a lot of things it's capable of. So, like, come on. But that's Mortal Kombat. This is Persona. If not Shin Megami Tensei as a whole, if not ATLUS as a holy whole. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. And then, like, at least with the Nintendo Switch, to be fair, it's definitely got a little more like considerably more power than the portable, but you know what? It definitely feels right at home. I agree. Like with Golden even and then Royal on the Switch, you can tell it's like they're really they run really well actually on the Switch, but like you can tell if you were like if you were in like conditions or like like a very sunny day where you could barely see what was going on and you needed to like, move around, hide behind hallways, watch out for certain notifications of a Reaper being able to jump out of a box soon. Hint, hint. I'm actually quite lucky to have not had to deal with the Reaper when I was playing for Golden. Like that kind of thing. I can see why. No, I do think Royal is not quite as smooth on Switch. Me personally, I can totally see that. It definitely is like the least smooth running version of Royal. I will say that when it isn't crunchy, it actually does look pretty good and is right on par with the others. And if anything, it kind of has more of a kind of like a dreamy, hazy kind of glow and like specific frame rate about it, or at least kind of unlike the other versions, it kind of looks like a little hazier or more dreamy like, which may or may not fit the game depending on how you look at it or how you kind of go about that. But I mean, like, yeah, if you got a PS4 version, you're definitely gonna, even just the PS4, not PS5 or Xbox ZY, like you might have a more frame rate wise, you're definitely gonna have an even better experience. But I mean, hey, the fact that they could put that on Switch is pretty damn good. Again, not probably the weakest of the ports for Royal, but definitely still good. Take note of that, Mortal Kombat. Nah, I'm teasing. I haven't even played Mortal Kombat. I'm too squeamish. I'm too much of a scaredy cat for that. Too much of a dweeb? Anyways, yeah. But no, so something like that, like just bringing up the games we like, the characters we like, or just presenting maybe questions like what is everybody's take on this philosophy or that. I'll say what I want to say, and then I'll also give spotlight to everybody on the Discord chat, everybody in the Twitch chat. And we'll basically kind of just roll like that. And like I said, I got aside from saying what I gotta say about this game or that character, or not even say anything, just be like, oh, I really haven't played it, but from what I've seen, this is kind of cool, it looks interesting, or oh, I've heard da 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 da, even if not, I mean, even if it's just that, then definitely, hey, if there's somebody in either or both chats who knows about Catherine Goat Service, shout them out, if I haven't played Catherine Goat Service, somebody else probably has, and I'll put you on the spot in the less overwhelming, more just being a part of the conversation. Fuck. But yeah, as long as that makes sense for everybody. Other than that, there's not many rules that I have to give. I guess really the only 1, 2, or 3 I gotta put out there would be just one. Just be nice. That would be nice to each other. And honestly, I don't think that's a hard feat for anybody to accomplish. I think being nice to everybody, or everybody being nice to everybody, even if some people might disagree on some character or some game, or their consensuses don't quite align, Like, for you guys, even if you feel like you kind of go against the grain and not liking something that others do, it could be as simple as like, oh, I mean, that's understandable, so and so, that you think that Catherine Goat's surface is awesome. I mean, me personally, it just was not my thing, or like, I feel like some of it was a little underbaked compared to Catherine or Rin's magical, bouncy, funhouse adventure. Kind of spoke to me, whereas Goat's service really did. Man, the Catherine franchise really did kind of flanderize itself in its little franchisee. But I mean, like, it would be like that. It would be like, I mean, I didn't care for this Catherine game. I kind of like this shoe Megan Thee Stallion tonsil thing. But you know what? I get why other people might think the opposite, or like both of them, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, the rule number one, be kind. You can agree or disagree, but just be kind about it either way. It's as simple as that. Like, any of you can think as poorly of yourselves as you want. Nah. Well, first of all, you're lying to yourself. So if you can criticize yourself somehow, it's that your thoughts about yourself that are so mean about yourself are the actual bad lies going around. Yeah, that is how you make people feel better about themselves. I'm definitely very trained in making sure people self-affirm themselves as positive and confident people. But you know, like, hey, like I said, even that by itself, even like no matter how low you think of yourselves, like, nah, really, don't worry. This should not be rocket science for any of you. You got this, you know? Just be nice. And if you disagree, you don't have to be quiet, you know? You really don't have to shut up. If you'd rather just sit back and not say anything, that's one thing. But if you want to say something, it is as simple as like, I mean, I understand why you guys think this way. I'm not a fan of it, but I understand why people might actually be attracted to this gameplay system, or these certain characters, or this art style, or how you guys might like this character's arc, post-development, pre-development. Even if I personally don't vibe with it, you know, it's as simple as that. So yeah, that. Catherine is Wild. I have from Feather on Discord, actually, since I guess we can kind of warm up while I'm going over things like that. Catherine is Wild. I have friends who play it competitively and they scare me low-key. I can understand that, Feather. I think I can sympathize. I mean, okay, because I started with Full Body. I had a good idea of what Classic was like, since like some of the vibes might be a little different compared to Classic Catherine. But like, no matter which version I played, I guarantee you, like, as somebody who's into puzzles, more or less, like really, really brutal video game puzzles, like with Catherine's, are kind of a dick to me. Or like, I feel like they're kind of a dick. Like, it doesn't always feel fair. Like, even just playing some of like the Tower of Babel stuff for giggles as Catherine with a K, Catherine with a C, or the titular Catherine, you know, or Joker Persona 5 in the case of Full Body again. Like, just trying out the first stage as any of those characters just for the hell of it is so damn. It's a headache to actually get it, to actually do it. Honestly, I don't even think I've gotten through that first stage in the Tower of Babel. Like, tried it a bunch of times with Joker and Life Will Change just blaring in the background, and it's like, oh, of course that's gonna be the DLC song. And then like you got On and Yusuke and Makoto all yapping in the background. And it's like, once that cool little fan service for me weans out, once that rush of excitement, like, oh, they're in another game, yippee! Like, once that weans off, it's like, it doesn't matter what character I'm picking, since they're all cosmetics and or music things, or music changes. Like, this Tower of Babel is a bitch. How am I going to survive the main story? Then I get into the main story, and I only struggle when I try to get all the little, like, collectibles, or even just the pillows, even though I'm pretty sure, like, if I remember correctly, they're just kind of like your equivalent to 1-ups in Mario, or just lives in general, or maybe fairy potions in Zelda to, like, not give you an instant game over. At least I'm pretty sure that's what the pillows did, or whatever that life system was in game. I'm not sure what the item actually was. I forget. But like even just those ones, like I try to really go for them because God knows that if I didn't have enough um goats sheep ups by the end of the game, I was gonna be in really deep shit. I was never gonna see the ending cutscenes of whatever ending I got, which I will admit, based on like different tweaks to um answering authentically to um answering authentically to the different questions and then analyzing it from the perspective of wanting Vincent Brooks to actually mature. Admittedly, that's when it definitely got went from the Catherine with the K ending routes to Rin ending routes, somewhere around there. Kind of tweak how I felt about this or that, thinking of myself versus wanting Vincent to not be a piece of shit anymore. But again, that was kind of the point of Catherine as far as I could tell. All of that, like, eventually I just ended up with either girl at some point or other, without getting into spoilers, but I really had to try to go against like my own moral rectitude to get with Catherine with the C. Had to look up a whole guide and everything just for her true ending. And again, even though Vincent is like supposed to be kind of an immature dickwad from the start, I mean, a little clumsy, not super like egotistical, but still kind of a dickhead. It's like, yeah, even like really not following through on maturity. That was kind of a doozy. Now, to be fair, like the whole thing about Catherine with a C, not gonna go too far into spoilers, keep in mind, but like I always interpreted it as like the idea of not being tied down to certain things or others, to be able to go out and seek a little freedom once in a while. Like on paper by itself, without the context of Catherine, the game as a whole, or the Catherine with the C character, like on paper, that's definitely not a bad route to take versus being able to be loyal to somebody, committed to somebody, and a certain life you have, albeit in the game, it takes this extreme of like nothing can change. Like, no, honestly, at some points, I wouldn't be surprised if nobody could ever take vacations, even if they earned it. Like, even if Catherine with the K and Vincent had earned some vacations, they wouldn't be able to take it. Like, those extremes. But then, like, in execution, it's like, you know, being tied down and kind of like, you know, almost like a little bored or burnt out, maybe, is the only drawback to Catherine with the K's route. Whereas Catherine with the C, the freedom is a little when the flagship character for it is a succubus who does very questionable things to Vincent at night that honestly might kind of delve into some pretty gross implications, but we're not going to get into that. Just to result in you cheating on your fiance. ATLUS knows how to put relationships under a microscope in all their games. Yeah, for sure. And I will say, like, they could have very easily made Catherine with the C a just as cool, non-problematic character as Catherine with a K. And even Catherine with the K has her faults, like, you know, because it's basically as simple as like like Vincent should be loyal to whoever he is actually dating at the time, and whatnot. But even, with alongside that, you know, you guys can definitely let loose once on a blue moon, especially when you guys settle in and whatnot. It's not rocket science to know how to avoid being a scumbag while still, like, you know, being super devoted to each other, but not so, like, you know, uptight and holding yourselves, not necessarily each other, but your own selves on leashes. It's definitely super interesting. Like, my point is, like, they could have very easily made both routes, like, just as unproblematic as the other. But, I always got to give ATLUS credit for maybe possibly at some point looking at that idea, saying, okay, no, we're just going to have these two distinct opposite ideologies for relationships and lifestyles as a whole, be enticing on paper, but putting the characters in there and actually executing these two ideologies at play, there's going to be a very clear, like, one route is actually pretty good and cool and nice and sweet, and the other is just full on, like, character growth, what is that? We're still going to make it fun anyways, you know? Sorry, I was being a little goofy there, but yeah, no, I really like Catherine for what it did there. And that's not even going into the whole can of worms that is like the third route. Not even like maybe square in the middle of the first two Catherines, but maybe also kind of just goes all over the place at once. It's anywhere, everywhere, it's anywhere, everywhere, all at once, or everything, everywhere, all at once. What is the movie with the kid from the Goonies? Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. But basically, yeah, it's like that's not even going into the whole can of worms with Rin, its own pros and cons. What ATLUS did really damn good, what maybe could have been clarified or a little tweaked, but I mean, like, just like basically from what we could get into here without spoilers, because again, we'll, like, from here on, I'll be transparent if we gotta get into spoilers, but other than that, still just precaution, everybody, we might delve into some spoilers at some point for some game or other, so when you think we've probably stopped yapping, you can come on back to avoid those. But yeah, nah. Okay, so yeah, basically kind of like that. Just, like, say what you like about these games or these characters, see what other people think about these games, these characters, maybe present some questions on what our take is on certain ideologies, certain scenes, what is a favorite moment from any of the games, any of the characters. And, like, just like, if you agree, please chime in. If you disagree, either that's okay and you can sit back and get some perspective from the opposite side, or you can be like, hey, I mean, I disagree, and it would probably be because da-da-da-da-da, but I get why other people like da-da-da-da-da. Any ones for Persona 6, guys? Okay, so Feather asked, and I got this on Twitch. Not gonna be leaking anybody's URLs, but for the record. Or like credentials, Discord credentials. Any ones for Persona 6, says Feather in Discord. Liliana, it'd be interesting to have the bro be the smart one in Persona 6. Oh, that would be true. And mind you, I loved Ryuji. He's not only my second favorite in, I'm a broken record at this point if you know me even slightly. Like, he's my second favorite in not just Persona 5, but he's my second favorite character in the whole Persona series. Him on right ahead of them at the top, and then Yusuke in third are both my top 3 and 5 in the series. And then after that, it becomes either Haru, the whole Persona 5 bandwagon fuck, or Yukari, and then Mitsuru and Kanji and Rize and Naruto, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But again, I'm kind of a broken record there. And, like, as much as I love Ryuji, and Junpei was really good, especially when he eventually did go undergo his character growth, and you got to know him past the very, like, quasi-sleazy, just more so overly goofy facade he had. There are some things about Yosuke in Persona 4 that were definitely hit or miss. I loved his social link. I loved the ups he had in the main story. But some of the events where he kind of had his low lows were kind of a bummer. So maybe I'd have to go in with an extra focus on the social link and his good moments. I wouldn't say he's my least favorite character. Even if it's just for the localization, Teddy easily takes that spot. But, like, I really enjoyed him. Or, like, his good moments. So even if it's just to kind of, like, give him a second chance, I'll definitely have to, maybe give myself an extra glance at that. But I digress. But yeah, no, it's, like, basically as simple as, like, the bro is the smart one, as opposed to either kind of, like, average or straight up himbo, I can see why you'd want that, Liliana. Because, yeah, it is as simple as, like, just kind of shaking things up in a way that's not, like, so much of a severe whiplash from everything we've had before to 6, but it's still like, just a tiny little shakeup that actually makes things interesting. Because as much as Ryuji, Yosuke, and Junpei, and I guess even apparently Eikichi and two, as much as they all worked in their respective ways, more or less, you know, that doesn't mean you can't repeat any one of them for the bajillion time for this sixth game. That's apparently green and taking inspo from some Monopoly game. I don't know. I mean, Midori's a lovely gem. I don't follow leaks. I just kind of like maybe see how she's doing herself and maybe catch up on important stuff. But other than that, nah, not my thing. But you know what? She's cool. But anyways, no. But like, just something that's again not absolutely like gonna give you severe whiplash, but it's something that like kind of is a little twist on the characters. You got a guy who's gonna have your back, maybe is a little less I guess maybe a little less elegant or like super duper aloof, but is still like, has some brains about them or like is definitely kind of like has those well, I mean, yeah, kind of the brainiac. Is the anti-himbo. Or maybe they're the anti-himbo intellectually, but socially, they're still a himbo. That might or might not be my way to try to make less people laugh at me for calling brainy characters social himbos. I mean, intellectually they aren't, but socially, I mean, those eggheads. Anyways, I digress. Feather, I would like to see a non-cut male romance option one day. I see what you did there. You probably didn't mean to do anything, but I see what you did there. I think the new director will help us see that soon. Yeah, no, who? Because who is the? I keep mixing up the different directors for the different ATLUS games with one another. Who is it now, and who is it before? Because I'm pretty sure like somebody came in for Persona 5 Royal, and from then on, they're gonna take over. But who is it then versus now? I cannot remember for the life of me. I cope for female protagonist option again. That is fair key in it. Although, and mind you, I'm not going to throw a hissy fit if the way I say it here is not true at all or it doesn't happen at all. But like, I would, even if just mildly, and I'm cool with whatever else, or if it's just an option, I'd propose there's no gender option for the protagonist, but they're straight up female. Completely like turn the tables. Like obviously it's like, hey, ideally you get the same story or like the same story with slight tweaks or maybe completely different stories based on how you customize your protagonist. Like that's the ideal situation. Even if it's just for shits and giggles while we're saying it right now though. And I share this idea with what's her name on Twitter? She's a really cool artist. She's actually cosplayed all the bro characters before. What was her name? Fuck. Shoot. What was their name? God damn it. I think they're in the Ryuji reverse bonk with me. So if I can find them more easily there, that would be great. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find their name because technically they were the ones to bring this up first, and I'm kind of like, I'm way more into this than I probably should be. Okay, so according to Feather, Kazuhisa Wada is the new director. Okay, so Wada's the new one. Who is the old one? Female MC would be nice for a change of pace if nothing else. No, I agree. And obviously, like, ideally, let us customize our protagonist however we want them to. I would just think it's like half ironically, I think it'd just be a little funny if like it wasn't necessarily that as much as it was like, a very restricted, very dead set this one way to go customization and identity for the protagonist, but as simple as it is, it's not a guy. Hashino was the original since P3. Okay, and then Hashino is currently working on Metaphor, is that correct? Or I thought he was on Metaphor. I thought I saw his name there specifically after that. I lost my marbles, clearly. I'm sorry. Allison Senpai is the person. Okay, they were the one who proposed that, probably maybe half ironically as a joke too. But it's like, I mean, maybe just flipping the tables, but not doing much more than just one protagonist, but it's not a guy, would be kind of funny. Okay, Hashino's apparently working on metaphor. Roger. Okay. Let's have a protag go by they, them pronouns. Oh, Liliana, I see the vision with you. I see the vision. We can insert our own gender, then make everyone romanceable. Honestly, yeah. Like, obviously, like, a gay mod, that would be groovy. But honestly, bi pan mod, mwah, chef's kiss. Peak. Yeah. Peak protagonist identity. Pog, even. Pog at the lack of identity, but no, not lack of identity. Pog at the, and mind you, Pog at the very customizable and like not anywhere, like not at all restrictive customization. I mean, to be fair, like I know like there are some games out there that let you customize anything and everything about your protagonist besides basic gender, identity or lack thereof. But I mean like I just rather have like maybe a few base templates, but then after that, like maybe like a few base character designs, but then like in each of those, like sky's the limit with certain options for romances or like main story beats, honestly, in the game would be really damn sweet. I'd rather take just like just a base ass template for these certain routes and then the options from there are limitless, then well, I mean, not much is going to change no matter what your character is or looks like, but I mean, you really got their body shape all worked up for nothing. You really got them looking like that one gray model thing that some guy made trying to make an hourglass figure just to make fucking a troll. And then their wheeze is just a duck sound. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, God bless you. If you don't, honestly, you're better off not knowing. It's aside from the duck wheeze, it's I can't unsee that. It's haunted me and legitimately had a nightmare about that. True story. I mean, I guess it's my loss, nobody else's. So if you want to look it up, be my guest, but I don't want to look at it again. Not even that duck wheeze could say. Anyways, your gender is mine. Okay, no, honestly though, is Nabo... I keep saying Nabohino when it's Nahobino. Yeah, clearly somebody has not played vanilla SMT5 and needs to get SMT5 Vengeance or SMTVV. Anyways, is Nahobino, are they actually kind of a non-binary character, or is it just that they are a guy and then when they become the Nahobino, it's just that they kind of like are just like, well, I mean, I'm still a guy, but you know what? Fuck toxic masculinity. Because it's not even like he's super like it's not even like the Nahobino looks super feminine even, just like, you know, you could take him either way and you wouldn't be wrong. Yeah, androgynous. There we go. Even that the character is male. Okay, that's what I was wondering. I wasn't sure if like Nahobino, like there was something between, if there was a difference between school Nahobino and Nahobino. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, that would make sense. Okay, so basically it's just like in this case, it would be just a straight up like non-binary or at least like again, customization. I can vibe with that, honestly. You know, there's a lot of things you can do once you kind of go past the limits of having just a guy, just a girl. Although again, that one idea I proposed earlier was completely a half joke. Obviously, that's not even that's the ideal at the end of the day solution for Persona 6 to hopefully implement, hopefully. You know? But basically, it's like it's not even like anything against Joker, Narukami, Makoto Yuki, nothing against them at all, as much as it is just like shaking things up in ways that maybe will give players a little whiplash, like, holy shit, they've not been there before. But I mean, like, at some point, you gotta give give games not even a full-fledged reboot of stuff, but like you definitely gotta shake things up. Otherwise, we are literally gonna have Persona 5 2 in everything but name. I mean, as much as I love Persona 5, it is my favorite game of all time. And when, honestly, at least for now, when Persona 6 comes out, I am gonna miss how what might still be my favorite game of all time isn't the shiny, newest, and most recent mainline game. Because I mean, Persona 3 could technically fill that spot, but since it is a remake, not exactly either, not really either. Um, like I'll miss this time where 5 is like the shiny brand new one to kind of be like the little kid that follows up 3 and 4 and eventually becomes it, and like very quickly becomes its own thing and brings a lot of people to check out it and 4, 3, and hopefully later 2 and 1, you know? Um but like even to that I got to say, like, hey, you know what? Like even though I'm probably not alone in not being tired of Persona 5, admittedly, some people might be, and I totally get that. And plus, like, you know what? Like, 4 and 3, and even if just like slowly but surely 1 and 2, even if they haven't been the shiny, brand new, most recent mainlines for a while, like they've survived perfectly alive and well. Like, obviously, 1 and 2, if only because of the director shift, kind of took a while to come back. Like, they are coming back, and like apparently we might even get remasters and remakes of the games. But whether or not we bring this up later here, that's not going to stop me from playing the originals for myself just to see what the fuss is about in advance. But that's besides the point. Like, like they've survived however long 5 has been in the spotlight. So you know what? 5 will be just fine joining their ranks as little fetus baby number 6 comes prancing in like, hello, I'm the new one. Hi. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Persona 6. Do you guys want to play Yokohama Monopoly? So, ATLUS knows how to make super androgynous characters, but committing to it is very rough. I can kind of understand, if only because like me personally, and this isn't like a completely like perfect ideology. I understand that like if you're so nervous about doing representation of different gender identities, different personalities, like if you're concerned or like really nervous that you're going to do them injustice or do them completely wrong, just absolutely botch people who would resonate with this character otherwise, I can understand why that might kind of like stifle you or catch you back. But at the same time, it's like, first of all, just do your research. If you need to do a little more research and you don't feel confident with what you found about people who are non-binary or gender fluid, you know what? Hey, either reread through it or go get some more research, And actually, you know what? Just commit to it once you got an idea for how you can make this character a damn good gender fluid or non-binary character, you know? Like, obviously, like, you don't want to botch it and create a really gross caricature that has to be the face of your next big game. But at the same time, it's not rocket science to maybe go over it a few extra times and being like, at some point saying, okay, this is what we've been able to do. We can do this or that for X, Y, and Z, or in the case of A, B, and C. But other than that, let's just get this out there and see what feedback we can get from it, The big 3 of Persona. I mean, you're technically not wrong. Basically, no, you're not wrong. I mean, I personally say, like, if you want to go past the Holy Trinity, you can add in FemC, Wabamo. You got the Fab 4 of Neo Persona. Or Nisona. But, yeah. What can I say except, yeah. Yeah, and that was another thing. It's like, not only is Nahobino very androgynous and just says, like, I might be a guy still, but you know what? Screw toxic masculinity. Like, I'm gonna be a guy. Like, I'm gonna be a good guy no matter what, but I'm just not gonna, be that guy kind of guy, you know? And not only that, but at least the English voice actor, I'm not sure about the Japanese voice actor, but Casey, they're non-binary, and that is really damn cool, you know? I'm a guy and I'm fabulous. Thank you, Liliana. That's the word. That's not even a that wasn't even a complex equation to get to. I'm a guy and I'm fabulous. But thank you, Lily. I appreciate it. Japanese version has a much more masculine voice. I mean, you know what? Honestly, I can see why there might be kind of a cool little trade-off. You either get a non-binary voice for a guy who just does not give a damn for gender norms, or you get somebody who, again, physically still does not care what you think a guy and a girl looks like, and but like will absolutely have the most swooping, gorgeous ass blue hair and striking yellow eyes known to mankind, and yet still, it's just like, go succubus! Go Aura Mataba! Get in there, Satan! You know? I'm not sure which of those demons are enemies versus bosses that you can recruit or when I'm not. I'm just throwing those ones out there. They're at the top of my head. But yeah. No, I mean, I could say, honestly, again, kind of a cool trade-off, you know? And that's kind of the thing. It's like, even if it's not a full-fledged, like, female protagonist or NB gender fluid protagonist, it's still a guy who just doesn't even give a fuck about what people expect male persona protagonists to look like, you know? And everybody loves him, and for good reason. I mean, at least I think everybody loves him. I don't know, don't quote me on that. So anyways, yeah. Aleph is the classic... Oh, is that what they look like? Yes, admittedly, I only know of this through Ryuji's DLC in Persona 5 Dancing. The time for the gender in the world. That too, exactly. Like, when you got the fucking apocalypse because Lucifer has died and everybody is just clamoring for different stupid-ass ideologies to take the throne, like, who cares? There's different genders, different races. Boo-hoo! Who cares? Because if you're going to throw a hissy fit over that, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be shocked, and I'm going to make sure I don't shed a tear if, like, you get cut off guard by like, those demons with, like, the tridents just gnawing at your head or whatever. Like, hey, I'm not going to be happy, but at the same time, I'm not going to be sad. That still might have been a little crass, but you know what I mean. Basically, yeah, who cares? You know? Like, aside from representation, that is that. You get somebody new who is gonna save the world with their gorgeous ass pink updo. Okay, great. Okay, world's gonna die. Go. Yeah, no, for sure. Oh yeah, well, yeah. Like in Halo Reach, whether or not the world is dying, you personally are. Actually, that's gonna go into spoilers for Halo Reach, so I'm just gonna shut up. I know this is Persona SMT and ATLUS, but better safe than sorry. But yeah, no, that's fair. Actually, you know what? I think I'll prompt us into this one since indirectly Xerox. Not sure how you pronounce that. I'm sorry. You can clarify in either chats if you want to. Twitch chat has been a little chill, but that's okay. I can expect that either or is going to be a little quieter or louder. All good. I guess I'll take this one. And again, if anybody else wants to chime in on what games or characters they want us to just yap about, me to just spew on my mic, and for anybody to just fiercely keyboard type and send about, I'll start with this, though. Okay. I will say, Persona 5 Dancing is definitely not... Okay, I'm not sure how it compares versus other spin-offs for the Persona games. But at least in the general scheme of Persona 5 spin-offs, it is definitely hands down the weakest. But I can say I don't really still get a good little kick. Even if by pure guilty pleasure, I still get a good kick out of it. I think really the only issues are that one, the remixes. Like, it's not like they have to be even wackier and crazier and more pot and pan banging than the originals. But at the same time, they range from like just really boring ass renditions of the songs to actually trying to bang so many damn pots and pans at once, and it just doesn't click. So I'd say, one, if your remix isn't just okay, or you just don't have the original song as it was in the original game, since Pharrell wasn't out at the time, yeah, it wasn't good. The remixes wouldn't be good. And then two, really, to me, it is okay. So there's that one video of that guy who's like nitpicks things about Persona 5 that admittedly aren't even true. Like, if you don't like Persona 5, totally okay, you know? But even then, it's like, nitpicking things about the game that just simply are not there or simply are baseless. It's titled Style Over Substance. Nobody, obviously this, I'm preaching to the choir, nobody go harass the person of that video. But like, yeah, that was the title of their video. I would say that no, Persona 5 and by extension Royal don't have the problem with style over substance. I would say Persona 5 dancing has that issue. Like, what good there is in like in the actual game is actually pretty promising. Again, aside from bad remixes, you get maybe a good decent one here or there. Seeing the characters just screw around is pretty fun. The costumes can be pretty exciting. If just because it's like, oh, your SMT characters, or like, oh, you can have your mask up over their face and their Phantom Teeth costumes while they hit the gritty to blooming villain. Awesome, well, They didn't have to remix Last Surprise like 3 times. I forgot that was how that happened. I forgot. Well, to be fair, I think the one music video wasn't even a Last Surprise remix. It was just Last Surprise. Focus Game, the first spin-off was probably not the best move. No, it definitely wasn't. I think that's another thing, but that kind of goes in with my thing where there's a lot of style. What is there that is good is really damn good. But like, aside from everything that's already there, both the good and the bad, it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I kind of want a little more, but I mean, that's all right. Okay, let's see what else there is. Oh, that was it? That was the whole game? And honestly, even I can say that was the big issue with Persona 5 dancing. And it definitely kind of ties in with how, of all the Persona 5 or Persona 5 adjacent spin-offs to come out at that time, I'm pretty sure even Q2, of all things, came out after the fact. Like, of all the spin-offs to come out after Vanilla has had its good run, you might want to get started on Royal, Strikers, etc., like, dancing? Because just because Persona 5 had became quickly renowned for another game in the series with some great music, like, does not mean you immediately have everything you've got to make a damn good dancing rhythm game spinoff. I mean, clearly, Persona 5, like, it's like, even if you like the remixes, you're going to be disappointed by, like, once you've had your fun, there's nothing else to get into. Like, aside from getting high scores, doing King Crazy, which is hell. Even on normal difficulty, it's absolute hell to King Crazy every song for me. Like, I know this was a thing since, like, Persona 4 and Persona 3 carried with this too, so it's not just a 5 dancing problem. Who the hell at ATLUS thought that a good ranking for a button press breaks your combo? Who the fuck thought that should be the thing, that should be what happens by default when you get good instead of great or perfect? Like, obviously, it's not like you can get a little slap on the wrist but keep your combo for if you completely miss the note. But, like, a good note is a good note. It's not great or perfect, but it's not a miss. It's good. So why does it break your combo? Anyways, that's not really positive. I'll give myself a controlled shock. Okay, that was great. Infinite reference. Anyways, no, but yeah, I would say, personally, I totally understand why people might not even get a guilty pleasure or that kind of, like, small kick out of the game. I understand why people might outright dislike it. I am not shy of giving it my criticisms as well, if you couldn't already tell. But I mean, honestly, when I can have some fun with it, even if just minimally, it can be kind of a good time. But obviously, like, hey, if you're not super into the little bits of any Persona spinoff or any rhythm game, you're not gonna like it. And honestly, I will admit that's the one spinoff for Persona 5, if not the Persona series as a whole. You should probably just skip. You should skip that one. Like you can definitely look up footage of character costumes or character accessories, certain dance moves and whatnot. But other than YouTube footage or footage you can find anywhere online through like GIFs or whatnot, that's the one spinoff for the series, or even just 5, where you're not going to be missing out on much else. Except for on letting her hair down. Honestly, I really like her pigtails. A girl who can rock pigtails automatically home field advantage aside from being Lover's Arcana. And I mean, oh my god. Not only do her default pigtails look gorgeous or a ponytail in Tactica, god, we need her in a ponytail more often. Her hair down in dancing was just beautiful. But aside from that, you're not missing out on much. Honestly, skip Persona 5 dancing. Aside from that. And I mean, I guess you can find photos of her online. Concept on. Oh, like for our initial Phantom Thief outfit? That is true. That is true. I can see that too. On letting your hair down and then Ren cross-dressing. Fair. Same with Yusuke cross-dressing, honestly. Like, honestly, I'm just gonna say it. As gorgeous as Sherlock Watson BDSM, no, not BDSM, just sexy cop Joker was, honestly, I thought Yusuke cross-dressing was even sexier. You can disagree, you're totally allowed to, but I'm just gonna say, what I believe in. I'm standing up for my rights. Yusuke might only be second to Ryuji for best boy in P5 and then the whole series by extension, but like, you know what? In the cross-dressing game, Ren was already pretty nasty competition, and somehow, in my opinion, Yusuke Kunoichi wins. I'm sorry. I had to, like I said, I have to speak my truth. I'll give myself another controlled shock on behalf of the Joker fans who are very, very justifiably disappointed at me saying that. No, but nah, Ren was gorgeous too, don't get me wrong. Speaking of my second favorite character in 5 in the series and best boy in 5 in the series, I will admit Ryuji not having a objectively really fitting cross-dressing outfit was kind of a bummer. Like, I wouldn't say his like kind of like funky little on blue sweater get up was terrible. It's just like you can tell they were not really going to put in as much effort to like give him a more fitting, more form-fitting, well-fitting pigtail kind of on cosplay, quasi cosplay. On your next cosplay him. Do like some like Yoko Littner take on a female Skull cosplay, like Skull, but the Yoko Littner like get up and like the shotgun belts just like way too big, reaching down to your ankles and stuff. But anyways, yeah. No, but that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things they could have done with Ryuji. They didn't even have to make him cosplay an honest character. They could have made him like cosplay, I don't know, a blatant full 80s biker chick. Maybe some person with like that somewhat spiky or maybe wavy or curly like 80s hair or whatnot. Like honestly, they could have done so many things with this cross-dressing outfit and it would have fit him and not just be Ryuji cross-dressing, but be Ryuji cross-dressing that's on the same level as Detective not cop Ren and Kunoichi Yusuke. Honestly, I'm sorry. I love Ren, but Yusuke was even better. I'm sorry. I was just saying, I probably disappointed a lot of people by saying that. Let me just rub it in on you, Joker fans. Could have been. Yes! There's a lot of cute female pirate cross-dresses he could have done. Honestly, straight up give him a Spirit Halloween, but a top-tier Spirit Halloween sexy pirate costume. Just, come on! Honestly, I would have taken him is like just like literally just stealing On's dancing outfit or panther outfit verbatim. But oh well. Again, can't win them all. And you know what? We got to be here today to actually talk about what we like about certain games or characters, etc., etc. So yeah, that is my whole spiel on Persona 5 dancing. Anybody else in either chats, Discord or Twitch? Why did I about to say Twitter? God no. No way in hell I was going to do a live stream on Twitter during its dark age right now. Anybody else got any takes about certain games or characters? We're about halfway through, so yeah. There's a great artist alley where people would love to draw that for you. Yeah. I think I will say there are a lot of people I have written down on like my list of people I want to commission, and spoilers, it's pretty much everybody in the artist alley. I just got like either their Twitters or Tumblrs or their cards more ideally than anything else. I will say, I think when it comes to commissions I can actually afford with my current finances and net worth, I think there might be only one or two I could commission in the near future, but I think I now know what is something I will definitely, probably, almost certainly want from them now. So, yeah. Thank you, Lily. I guess I might as well spit that out while we got a second. Oh, Roger Dodger, with pleasure. Like, I'll just write to myself, like, hey, when I get to this, drop it in the PersonaCon wherever it's most appropriate. I'll make sure you guys see it. Cross my heart. And I know it's like, well, but if you cross your hearts, you'll die if you fail. And that's why I'm crossing my heart. You all will be seeing that. Favorite Arcana? Oh, you mean like, wait, hold on. Feather asked favorite Arcana. Oh, for everybody. I thought you meant favorite Arcana dudes. Okay. Favorite Arcana in general. I'm gonna let everybody go first, and we can geek out over their favorites. So everybody, if you got a favorite Arcana based on characters or general philosophy, spout it in either or both chats. I'll wait until the end to say mine. Liliana says priestess by far. So if I remember my priestesses, that is Fuka, not Yukari. Fuka, Yukiko, Makoto, and then I don't know who would be in 2 or 1. I would want to say 1 would be Maki, but that might be wrong. But just going by the newer trilogy, that is understandable. Honestly, like, even if they're not my numero uno favorites in their respective groups, like, still, Fuka is such a sweet, sweet character. She's such a sweet girl. I love how, like, even if I could maybe argue she's a little forgiving to a tiny fault, like, when it works out for her and others, it really, really makes a difference and makes me feel good. So I agree with, on the Fuka end. Yukiko and Makoto, probably don't want to hog Liliana's answer for too long when she could speak for herself, I'm sure, but nah, like, Yukiko and Makoto in their own respective ways are also really, really cool characters. Again, even if, like, Makoto at least isn't my favorite of the Persona 5 cast, I totally see the hype for her. I understand why people like gravitate towards her two very distinct personalities where neither might not necessarily be fake per se, but are just very distinct and very different and change depending on who she is speaking to and who is around them. I can see why people gravitate towards her for that, or her her connections with others, her general character design, and like how she grows, or how, like, even if or like how even if there are some things, like some ideologies or plans she has that I might personally not agree with, like, I can see where she comes from, and it's like, I mean, if I were Makoto trying to figure out how to get these guys who absolutely fucking hate my guts to this Junei Kaneshiro guy, honestly, I'm not just gonna let myself be kidnapped as bait to get them all in, just for all of us to be saddled with a horrendous debt, lest all 5 of us end up in very disgusting situations. I would get myself kidnapped, and then through some way or another, all of us would just be shot up. Game over. That's the end of the game. How the hell is that the best-selling Persona game for a while? You know? Like, damn, we were just gonna start the third dungeon. Why the fuck did the game end early? What are these credits? Is this a bad ending? No! It's like, I mean, hey. And that's the thing. It's like, maybe if anything, the character's intentionally fucking up. Like, blatantly doing stupid things. Whether or not, there are these circumstances or others. Whether they could have known better or not at all. Honestly, it's like just as badass to look at that and be like, honestly, this character, so-and-so Peggy, is even better for that. But yeah, no, fair enough, Liliana. Feathers says fortune. Within the context in tarot, that is basically like if you kind of it's basically fortune in tarot is like, if you kind of let things just be for a little while, regardless of how everything looks while you're letting it be for a while, eventually it's going to really turn in your favor, even if slowly or quickly. Is that... Oh, letting fate decide. Yeah, basically it's as simple as that. No, I don't think it's just that. I think it's just like, if you kind of hold still and just let fate do its thing, as long as you don't let fate not do its thing. Yeah, just let fate do its thing. That's fair. Nato hits super close to home in many ways, not to mention their social link. Oh, no. Well, I mean, okay, you know what? It's a truce. I was being a little verbose. You were using layman's terms. We meet halfway. But yeah, no, that's fair. Because fortune, it's obviously Nato. I forget who was in 3, but in 5 it was Chihaya. Not a top 3 in confidants for 5, but like honestly, Chihaya was pretty fun. Even if just in kind of a like, oh, I could only dream to be this superstitious. Like honestly, not even then. And then yeah, Ryoji is fortune and portable. Admittedly, I kind of forgot that part. Interesting. I won't get into spoilers for that specific one, but if you know, and huh, I'm gonna have to sit on that one. Thank you for telling me, Feather. At least I sit on that one sooner rather than later. And then later, I'm just like, I fall on my knees like, Ryoji Mochizuki is in the same arcana as Naoto Shirogane, but he's not blue like her or them. Honestly, I'll take anything. Canon, headcanon, I'll take anything for Naoto, But yeah, no. Okay, so for Alex, it would be Fool, Chariot, Priestess. Fool, whether you consider it the group or the protagonist's quasi-arcana, fair enough. Chariot, understandable. I didn't even remember. No, it was Chie in 4, Ryuji in 5, and then Kaz in 3. Amen. For me, Chariot is an easy contender for top 5 Arcana, maybe top 3, honestly. Priestess, like I said, Fuka, Yukiko, Makoto, and that's just the modern trilogy. Understandable. But anybody else want to go? And then I guess I'll spit mine. When I do say mine, please pretend to be shocked, even if it's just to be funny. Please, if anything, that'll make me feel good. Like, just ready your dramatic shock or freak out gifts. Pretend to be amazed at what my favorite arcana is. Yukiko, according to Zero, is by far my favorite Persona character, and Makoto's either my favorite or second favorite party member in 5, depending on the mood. That's fair. For me, I can kind of flip-flop different characters, like depending on how maybe certain trios would work with each other in Joker, or maybe based on pure favoritism, or maybe like not favorites, but maybe in that kind, like kind of my underdogs. Like, yeah. So honestly, understandable. Yukiko is one of my favorites too. I did a lot of role-playing as her. Honestly, she seems like such a fun character. Because even though she's like not quite really known for a certain several like grandiose quirks or catchphrases, Because not even like characters with catchphrases in the series aren't amazing in their own rights. I think it, but like in the case, so it's just in the case of Yukiko specifically, not against anybody else, unlike her. I guess it's because she maybe doesn't have like a very distinct over the top quirk or manner of speech. Um, I mean, technically, it's that like when you get her going, she is absolutely laughing a whole lung to get coughed out of her throat. Hyperbole aside, that might be a little crass. I apologize. But like, even without like a quirk or a catchphrase, because again, characters with quirks or catchphrases have to do a lot and prove there's a lot more to them than that, and that's why they're beloved. Besides saying, "Zoinks, Yusuke, it's the JoJo stand from the Bizarre Adventures of JoJo." You know, it's like Yukiko doesn't have one of those, so it really is just based on her story. And some people might debate about whether she should have stuck to, I mean, she probably could have stuck to learning how to branch off from the Amagi Inn. Some say that no, actually, the way she was going to look into different trades, but eventually realized she's fine at the Amagi Inn, and that actually she wouldn't be wrong or instilling any stereotypes of hers to stay and run it when she loves it. Like those are the kinds of things that are definitely worth talking about, and why I can see why Yukiko in different ways is a super compelling character for a lot of people. I really like that. I think that while she probably wouldn't have done much worse to keep to a certain trade, but just stay at the Amagi Inn for a little longer than just going zoom by. Because it seemed like she was really planning to just like, as soon as like, not even she graduated high school, but once she got her trades, like her trade certificates, she was like, all right, I'm out, everybody. Bye. I've been Amagi. Sayonara. See ya. you know? It's like, at the same time, I can see why, while she might have been hesitant to run the Amagi Inn because of everything that happened with her, I get it, being kidnapped, almost being another victim in these murder cases, that's fucking terrifying. But at the same time, it's like once she comes to herself past that and like realizes, nah, I love being in this inn. I think no doubt I'm gonna run loving it. I'm gonna stick around, Could maybe learn some of these things as a hobby. Can learn not to cook badly, so it can actually be a hobby that doesn't kill everybody and make Yosuke and or Chie throw hissy fits at each other and me. But it's like, it's like, hey, honestly, I think that's pretty cool. It's like she's gonna stick to what she was gonna go for in the first place, and yet it's not in a way where she's just gonna be the traditional wife. Because running a whole ass inn and a yukata for public appearances and whatnot, like, that is not a trad wife thing. Those are hostage situations. So anyways, but like I said, like, and mind you, I say all that, but Yukiko probably isn't even my top 3 for Persona 4, but she's right up there. I really enjoy her for all that and then some. Anybody else got some favorite arcana we can ramble about? Mostly me, while you guys have fair pieces that aren't too long, aren't too short. She felt like she was trapped, but realizing she still has a choice no matter what she chooses. Yeah, that's basically the TLDR that's perfect. It's like, yeah. Like she can choose what she wants to do in this case. I mean, she could choose to head out somewhere, and that's fine, but it's not like she'd be forced to go at the Amagi Inn, or that she'd be forced to run away, Like, either way, it was her choice, and if she would turn out to eventually prefer being at the Amagi Inn for all its quirks and maybe any of its few warts and all, like honestly, that is really damn cool. Emperor has always been very good. Oh, I know this one. Again, though, I forget who is who in Persona 1 and 2 for Emperor, but at least for the Modern Trilogy, since that's a little bit easier, Akihiko, Kanji, Yusuke. Absolutely. Actually, I think pretty much all 3 of the Emperor guys are part of my top 10 top 10 characters in the series. Because Yusuke is number 3 in that regard. Kanji and Rize kind of flip-flop for 6th and 7th place. They're both behind Mitsuru and Yukari. Kichi was emperor? Oh shoot! Well, I think Akichi's then going to be a. I think Akichi's then going to be another contender for emperor at this rate. From what I can tell, because like I said, I'm still on Persona 1, and with all the other things I juggle for like games I play on my own time and other things I do, slowly but surely, since it's a game to get used to. Oh, well, Feather. Actually, I better shut myself up for a second. No, but yeah, no, understandable. It's weird because it's like, I mean, sure, maybe compared to the Emperor's Ryuji as like the bros or the chariots might get a slight advantage, but like, I mean, on average, all three of the modern Emperor guys are in my top 10. Akihiko is my third favorite in Persona 3. Kanji, again, kind of flip-flops with Naoto for my second and first favorites in 4. And then Naoto is sitting completely pretty and gorgeous at third for 4 for me. Besides, Naoto's somebody else's numero uno in the whole series, so you know what? Naoto's gonna be perfectly fine if I think of her as my third and fourth. Yeah, I can't talk. Lovers are my least favorite except Lisa. Aw. Honestly, before I get to what people might or might not be shocked by, you know what? I get it. Sometimes it's not even that you might dislike certain characters, or you do, and you know what? That is okay. They don't resonate with you. Understandable. Or like sometimes it's as simple as how maybe you don't dislike certain characters as much as it is just like honestly kind of like with Makoto in P5. Like I still like her and see the hype in her, so she didn't really do anything wrong unless it's coming from somebody bitching in your ear about so and so being overrated. I don't understand why everybody likes them. Which again, keeping to the positives, like it's just like I like Makoto, even if it's like just based on process of elimination, like putting these characters out, seeing how much more I like them compared to others. Like it's just as simple as Makoto kind of flip-flops with Goro Akechi for my third least favorite and second least favorite. Sometimes I'm feeling more Makoto, sometimes I'm more Goro Akechi. I see the hype for them both. It's just that based on like how everybody except for them and Morgana even resonate with me slightly more. They're just at the bottom, second and third favorites, and then Morgana is right behind them in last. And that's not their faults per se. I know people can have their criticisms of certain characters, and nobody in the Persona 5 cast is exempt from those. And that's okay, you know? Yeah, no, because like I said, just because Makoto, by process of elimination, becomes my third or second least favorite, again, she and Akechi flip-flop depending on whether I'm feeling quirky or, you know, maybe a little less quirky, but definitely a little more put together in the head. Like, you know, I still see why people love them to pieces, and I really like them too. I get them too. No, that's fair. Because, like, no. Because, like, I mean, I guess Morgana is kind of the point in overall Persona 5 playable mainline or spin-off characters. I think it comes about to Morgana where maybe I'll have a few extra grievances with the character, but at the same time, when he's great, he's damn great. And he's adorable no matter what. So, like, not just because this is a positive-oriented panel, but, like, I still get why people like Morgana and give him way more empathy than even I can, you know? Yukari is overhated in all honesty. Oh boy. I can't really go that far because admittedly my brain just kind of exploded in that department, but honestly, yeah. The thing is, like, again, like with anybody else, or like with how people completely love Makoto, whereas I'm like, I get her. I like her, but she's just not my favorite. Like, I get why people might get like kind of taken aback by Yukari or might not really care for her. I totally get it. As somebody who considers her my favorite character in Persona 3, I get why she doesn't resonate with anybody and people might feel the exact opposite of me. I think it would just be when like people forget that some of the mistakes she makes, especially in pretend to be shocked I bring this up, the answer. Like some people forget that yeah, the way she's reacting to certain situations, especially the answer more so, are technically not they're technically, actually, no, very much like not the right choices to make. They're not the best courses of action for her or anybody to be going for in the answer or whatever else, you know? More so the answer because that's the infamous one. But the thing is, like, I love it in the way that it's like, no, exactly. She's not making the right choices, but because of everything that has happened before, you know, the fateful day of graduation for the third years and the second years becoming third years before graduation, you know, like everything that has happened at that point, everything that happened on that day and the subsequent day, and then everything between then and the answer, it's like all of that comes together to a point where like she is really making some bad decisions, not necessarily to hurt anybody else or spite anybody else, but just because like she's definitely, I mean, like in trying to some way, whatever way she thought was best to move on from certain trauma, circumstances, and whatnot, she's kind of backed herself into this kind of lost days like little labyrinth where like she doesn't know what to think of these feelings until these things happen and she's lashing out at everybody. We're kind of getting into another fucking spiel here. I'm sorry, but it's like I definitely get why people, even so, might get completely taken aback by her and don't like her. It's just at certain points where people might say she's a full-fledged bitch, where I'm just gonna where I would personally say, no, no, she's making wrong decisions. You're right, but that's kind of the point of her character. Is that whereas other people, I mean, whereas everybody else in sees like, even Junpei, honestly, Ken or Aki, whereas they all make like a lot of good decisions and a lot of terrible, nasty, um, like little episodes of yelling at everybody. Like Yukari, like has everything pent up inside her until this one moment where it comes lashing out, and it's the worst possible time for her to lash out at everybody, and she has to realize that like what she has pent up inside of her, what she's been trying to distract herself from, she shouldn't have reacted to. I guess I'll just say it without any more spoilers. She shouldn't have like processed her grief that way. She should have just, you know, like instead of bottling it up and trying to go through the motions, completely ignoring it and then leading to this point, like she's not wrong for more actively, more like knowingly mourning what's happened before, the people she's lost before the events of the game and during and after the other moments of the game, the PTSD from certain incidents that occur before, during, and after the main story, or I guess the journey, if you will. Um, like she's supposed to fuck up in that regard. And again, that does not mean you can't say Yukari isn't your. I mean, you can't. It's not like you can't say Yukari's still. I mean, like it's not like you have to have Yukari as your numero uno and three like me. Like, no, no. At that point, I'm being the jackass. Um, but it's just like, hey, even if she's still not your favorite, kind of like with anybody else who isn't your favorite but might not be doing anything else really wrong, just you definitely got to keep some things in mind that like some things characters do, while sometimes they are completely irredeemable. In her case, no, she's just really poorly handling the grief that she's been saddled with, and instead of just like finding a way to keep in touch with people, have a group to talk to, have somebody to talk to about all of it, or to just be with and not isolate herself from. Instead, she basically does all of that. Yeah, she acts like a teenager, which she literally is. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like she screws up. I mean, every character in pretty much all the games at some point screws up. Honestly, like even though, like for example, I'll say this in 5 with Kaneshiro, my favorite character in both 5 and the whole series. On, even though the things that Makoto said back to her about Shiho and even fucking Kamoshida were really uncalled for, um, like some of the things that On said back to Makoto were also pretty uncalled for too. It's like, don't get me wrong, like what Makoto said about her not being able to be there for Shiho and take down Kamoshida before anything escalated the way it did was definitely really bad on Makoto's part. But that was kind of the point. Like, for a little while here, when like Makoto trying to like spy on everybody, knowing that they're probably who they say they are, because goddamn it, Ryuji, what the fuck? And I mean, all of them kind of played a part in giving themselves away to her too. But it's like they both say really bad things to each other in that one spat. Um, um, and it's definitely kind of an interesting thing, not a bad thing per se. Well, I mean, I guess bad in the moment without hindsight, but like, especially in retrospect, it's interesting how On still completely, even after that, especially, is still about like like being prepared to take second guesses about who you think people are and not taking first impressions as the end all be all for what you need to know about so and so. Like, just because somebody, in her case, just because this gorgeous girl is still a quarter American, not fully Japanese or American, and because she's like, maybe conventionally she's a very pretty girl, does not mean she's stuck up or she's vain or that she's some other, like, basically like some other racist stereotype in a sense. It's like, no, if anything, she's a sweetheart, maybe a little ditzy, but you know what? At least she can say she's got English aced. Like, Ryuji can't say that, I will admit. um, but yeah, but no, it's like the thing is, like, that's kind of her whole thing. But even if just for the moment in that part of Kanashiro's, she kind of loses that when arguing with Makoto. Like, obviously, like what Makoto said about how On wasn't there for Shiho and took care of Kamoshida sooner than she did, or they did, the Phantom Thieves. Like that was pretty nasty too. And she had to, really make it up to On and like prove that she's better than that, Like, that's definitely one thing, but like whether before or after, what On says to Makoto definitely almost kind of loses what her story has been all about from the get-go. And then obviously it's like, they reconcile things. On completely understands once more that like what she constantly practices and preaches is another thing she can still practice what she preaches, in the case of Makoto. It's like, just like with anybody else, herself included, Makoto may be the good girl type of pushover, but even she is struggling to fight that stigma and fight how Kobayakawa kind of has those strings on her, if only because of her pushover personality. So when Makoto is not only shown to be fighting against that, but actually shows a whole new side to her and having a whole ass driver's license, just in time for her precious little Johanna ride, It's like, oh shoot. Again, it's kind of like with anybody else, there's more to Makoto than somebody who admittedly was pretty nasty to me about Shiho, is also just making a lot of mistakes and is trying to reconcile for them. And then they proceed to go and get crepes. So you know what? Based. Honestly, I wish the Japanese dessert crepes that were found in Japan were more widespread here in the US. I'm so disappointed that, like, even though the more pancakey crepes are still here, it's like we can't get the dessert ones from what I know. And that's the only thing that makes me sad. Yeah, Makoto being no, that's the thing. It's like, Makoto being a secret dork. That's really exciting too. It's weird how, like, actually, before we go into that, I hope you guys have prepared your fake pretend acting freak out gifts or shocked reactions, because I guess before we move on to this thing Feather mentions and that conversation as a whole, my favorite arcana would happen to be the Lovers. I mean, I guess obviously it would be On, but then Yukari and Rize also hit my top 10. And then also, like, even though I'm still working on one, I've yet to get to 2. Lisa seems like such a gem. Feather is setting the example. Thank you, Feather. I continue to surprise. Nobody knows the limits of my brain. Wow, I never would have known. I kind of read that in my head as like that one clip from some Scott the Woz episode. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like another like no shit Sherlock thing. And it's like, wow, I never would have known. Like that Northern Ohio accent kind of kicks in. Damn, that's crazy. Anyways, who's your favorite character Persona 5, Magic Maddie? So, okay, so actually, going into something in general that Feather actually brings up here, specifically in the case of Makoto, but just honestly in general, what are people's favorite like same character, different facades to them that aren't really fake or real? Like those, okay, because like, what are some of those? What are some of people's favorite examples in Persona? Maybe the whole like catalog of ATLUS or SMT games where there's characters that have one side to them that is a lot more prominent, but then another side to them that also can become just as prominent really quickly, even if for just one scene. But maybe none of those sides to them are necessarily fake or real compared to each other. It's like maybe they are, but maybe they're both just as real as the other. So I guess like kind of Shadow Rize, Persona 4 kind of moral vibes, if you will. Akechi. You know what? Fair. Fair. Maruki. Fair, but even though we're 4 years past 2020, that's still a little too soon in my heart. But fair. Makoto Yuki spending all day playing video games just like me, for real. That is true. You know, it's like, I mean, he's more likely than not a complete introvert, but then like even with his introversion and yet still trying to get to others, there's like so many little sides to Makoto that either the game dialogue choices or maybe different adaptations can bring out compared to others that are really damn cool. The entire SMT forecast. Is it too late to get a physical copy of SMT4 and just look up a Let's Play on YouTube? I gotta see how that is. Ryuji, to be honest? I think I know what you're talking about. I think I understand. Could you explain specifically how, though? Because, like, I think I know what you mean by that. If it's just because of his, like, external appearance versus how he actually is, and that's kind of his main thing. But, like, could you clarify just in case I got that wrong? No, it's okay. I won't push you into that, Feather, but like Nato, honestly, indifferent, kind of like with Ryuji here, whether it's through their main story thing or maybe like little side things, it's like, yeah, no, I agree. Nato can have those little quirks to themselves that are really damn cool too. Let me see here. Mitsuru. Yeah, it kind of took me a little longer to learn about that for her versus how anybody else can have different sides to them in the series, like Haru, honestly. Yes. Just pretty much anybody. Honestly, even Kanji or Rize, obviously, because that's honestly her whole thing. And how like none of them might be fake. They're just different sides of her that maybe she'll have to grapple with, but aren't necessarily all fake compared to one actual real Rize or Risette. But for some reason, it took me forever to realize that Mitsuru can be what you consider a girl boss, and yet can also be like super sheltered, like a horrifically surprising dweeb. Like she's so badass most of the time, and that's like no less valid when you see her other facades, or not facades, facets. Yeah, but then it's like, then she actually turns out to be somewhat sheltered, an absolute dweeb with a hamburger, a freaking hamburger. Like, sheltered or not, how? But, like, it's so funny. Honestly, that really caught me off guard when I finally learned how that went for her. Like, it's like, hey, she's still a badass, just... Jesus Christ. Is this Persona 3 or the JRPG version of that one Disney Channel movie? Princess Princess Protection Program. Fuck. I think it's for those unaware, it was a Disney Channel movie about a princess who has to go hide in New Orleans. There, the princess is played by Demi Lovato. She has to go into hiding as the cousin to Selena Gomez's fish bait shop owner character, and she also struggles with a hamburger. So there's a connection. Mitsuru thinks she's so much cooler than she actually is. Yes, absolutely. It's like she's so badass, but then she can have these faults that, like, if they're not like just outright horrendous grief and PTSD, are just moments where she's like surprisingly clumsy, and she might be like just as shocked about it as anybody else there to witness it, such as me. Case in point. But yeah, uh, don't recall watching it. No, it's fine. Again, it's just an analogy where it's like, again, that's the first time I've seen like a rich but sheltered girl who, badass or girl boss or not at all, like just can't eat a burger. Never let them near a fucking Burger King or like Five Guys or Sonic or In-N-Out. Never let them anywhere near that again. Yeah. Mitsuru being scared of doctors is interesting. I don't know if this would necessarily go into super late spoilers, but is that possible? But is that actually, doesn't that relate to what I think it should relate to? You know, like with childhood PTSD, I guess. Liliana says, I don't blame Mitsuru for being scared of doctors with what she went through. Okay, so it wasn't just me who kind of was like, we had to kind of connect the dots for a second, like, oh yeah. Ooh, right. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Persona 3 never really touched on it. That's fair. Yeah. But even then, like, even with what glimpses we got in, for sure, the answer, and yeah, I definitely don't remember much. Like, she mentioned she was a Persona user since she was a child, but they didn't go into much more detail beyond that. And then you see everything else through either playing the spin-offs yourselves or watching how they are on YouTube, and it's like, Christ, I don't blame her. You know? Yeah, but yeah. Yeah. Any other Q1 had a moment where she almost had a breakdown low key. Oh, I forgot about some of those really fun little scenes in Q1. I at least have played Q2 twice, so I kind of remember some of the best parts from that in my head. But for some reason, I gotta replay Q1. I got both games on my 3DS. Thank God I got them before the eShop closed. R.I.P. Um, well, no brick. Yeah. I would say play Q1. Q2, if you really enjoyed that, I think with like maybe a few nips and tucks as being the first of the bunch. I'd still say Q1 is definitely worth a play. Like, definitely try it out. Again, maybe a few gameplay nips and tucks if I remember correctly, but nothing crazy really changes going from there to 2 or 2 to 1. Again, it's just going from second game to first game. Other than like the implications you can get from that and what actually applies to the Persona Q series, you'll have a good time, I'm sure. Oh, yay. You got it before the eShop closed. Thank God. Labris is super fun but tragic, and I just want to give her a hug. Honestly, that seems like, I mean, okay, I got a confession to make. Despite like looking into some of the footage for like characters that are explored in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and maybe Vanilla Arena, I kind of forget. I actually have yet to really look into Labris specifically, or like actually watch all the cutscenes of the main story, since I'm assuming those go into Labris's story, because I'm not quite sure about everything with Labris, but it's okay. I don't mind if people want to like briefly touch upon it here. She seems like one of those characters where it's like she's super quirky and cute, but like when you get into that, like some of that darker stuff, it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, have fun being the haha silly new poster girl for this specific spinoff, but are you sure you don't need a hug? Yeah. Oh no, actually the robot characters thing. Honestly, Honestly, I don't even know why this didn't pop up for first meeting Sophia and Strikers, but like as soon as I saw and figured out that Labris is a robot pretty much akin to Igus, when it came to like trauma and PTSD, they might surprisingly harbor. The red flags in my head were flapping against my brain, like the insides of my brain. It was like, oh god, this is another robot girl who needs to learn that they have feelings, and once they harness them, they need a hug. They need a hug. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I mean, I guess maybe even Sophia in 5 is an even different kind of like AI robot with human feelings and human qualities and then harbors those. I'm sure like even with that, she's still very different from Igus, Labris, honestly Metis, etc., etc. Um actually no, yeah, no, definitely Metis. Like the answer spoilers aside, honestly, yeah, even Metis, but well, if you didn't know, you'll see in September. But yeah, like even so, it's like at least the Shadow Weapon esque characters. It's like once Labris came up on screen and she like had that same connection, I just couldn't help but think to myself, oh god, if there's one character who's gonna make me pretty sad, it's gonna be this girl. And then I never looked into the rest of Labris's story. Sorry, my phone kind of flopped when my hand was making gestures and waves, but um yeah, I guess I know what walkthrough of a game I'm going to be watching on YouTube tonight. Just watching walkthroughs of like somebody who is just playing Arena or Arena Ultimax for the story and like is definitely not a competitive for Arena duology fighter, but you know what? At least they're just like me. They're just like me for real with Smash Brothers. Yeah, look into Labris and get ready to cry. Aye, aye, Captain. Aye, aye, Captain. Aye, aye. Okay, so we only got 10 more minutes before we have to wrap up the panel. But real quick, is there anything else you guys want to get into? Let's try to make this kind of a quasi lightning round before we go. Like, not like super short, like, you say this, great, moving on. You say that, great, moving on. But just like, like brief little touches on anything else we haven't mentioned today. Because, like I said, this is a very like relaxed, like just yapping to each other about things, but still having a good time. But is there anything else anybody wants to mention that they have not mentioned? I got one or two things I could bring up here in a second, but I'm going to give everybody else in here, since Twitch is pretty chill, I'm giving everybody here first the spotlight before me. So if I don't get my one or two pieces in, that's okay, as long as everybody else does. I'm spent. Understandable, Feather. Honestly, I had to come up with these two just in case in my head, just in case, because if I'm out of ideas, but everybody else is pretty spent, it's not even self-detrimental to say that it kind of falls on me. Everyone should try Persona 1 and 2, even though they are really different from 3 to 5. I agree. For certain reasons, I cannot get into exactly how and why I am finally able to play 1 and 2 whenever I can, as opposed to having to borrow my Pig Dude's my co-host for all PersonaCon years except for this year. He was busy. His Vita to play Persona 1 and 2. I can't get into why exactly I am able to play 1 and 2 for myself now at any time. It was kind of a last resort thing, even if the remasters and remakes are true. And like, even though I'm not super good at Persona 1, so far I can kind of see why, like even just as simple as for going back to some roots, it's been fun. And I'm really excited to finish up 1 and have a consensus on the characters that's actually very tangible, and then go to 2 and have the same thing. It's going to be a good time. So I agree with Liliana. Even if you have to watch a walkthrough the whole way through, not even just cutscene movies, because you might miss some things with just cutscene compilations. Like, if you gotta watch a whole walkthrough, honestly, don't feel bad to. Just do it, please. The fact that P2 fans just say out of context spoilers puts P4 fans to shame. to be fair, I'm looking back, I don't even know what P2 spoilers were just spouted out. Like, aside from the very obvious one, but even then, the context behind, uh, historical douchebag with sunglasses, I don't even know the whole details about it, but apparently there's way more to it, and, like, people being freaked out that historical dickhead with glasses is in it is kind of, sort of part of an overall message of sensationalism, I think. Again, I still gotta beat P1 and get to P2, so even I probably have horrible layman's terms for this, but it's like, even that, like, if that's one of the spoilers, it's like, yeah. But you know what? At least P2 fans get the whole gist behind it, and they can kind of smirk amongst themselves, like, they don't even know they're falling for the bad guy's trap too. I don't know. Like I said, I just know that certain characters are apparently an absolute delight, and I'll just have to confirm for myself which ones resonate the most with me, or maybe not as much, but are still cool. Play Snow Queen Quest in 1 if you can. It is really interesting to see a totally different game just by a simple choice. Roger, I've especially because of difficulty's sake, I've started with Sebek, so I'm not gonna hit up Snow Queen for quite a while, but when I can do it, hell yeah, Snow Queen, here I come. Especially when, honestly, from what I can tell, it kind of has a cool little premise. Without many spoilers, you have to rescue your teacher from, I guess, basically demonic possession, and then that same demon, ritualistically sacrificing her for, evil Elsa frozen winter or something. Again, goofy ass layman's terms, and I definitely threw in Frozen to really emphasize that. But like, it sounds like really cool. Like, you got to go rescue your teacher who's possessed by this evil demon lady, Snow Queen, maybe. Probably not Elsa, but just for shits and giggles, huh? And then you got to go through these 4 towers, or 3 or 4 towers ish. That are haunted by the personas and or the transmogrified ghosts of some of your teacher's deceased colleagues who had gone through some fucked up stuff, or actually, in one case, I think, perpetuated some really fucked up bullying. Either or both ways, and it sounds like it's a really good time. And I'm into Sebek already with how far it's going. I admit some things that are happening with Maki now definitely give me some major, maybe not major, but just slight Royal Third Semester vibes. But again, 1, that is slight. 2, any more than that, and spoilers. So, yeah. Anything else before we go? I'd say the 1 or 2 things I was going to bring up, I'm going to drop them if we don't have anything else to fill up this time. Anything else before we go? I need some water. Keep going. If you're typing, keep typing. I just need to hydrate. Excuse me. All right. I see that Kyanit is typing. You go ahead and do that. If anybody else wants to type, we could probably get another thing after Kyanit. But then other than that, I think we'll probably call it after that. But yeah, to Kyanit and whichever 1 or 2 other people want to go. Please do. I'm just getting some water before somebody types and sends. Excuse me. It's about Ultimax. My bad. Honestly, yeah, especially when it's pretty accessible as well on modern consoles. I probably could get Ultimax on a sale even if need be, if my budget's that tight. Like, between that and cross-dressing Ryuji, but actually as sexy as Yusuke and Ren's cross-dressing, like, none of it's rocket science. Maybe just be cautious of budget, but it wouldn't be hard to get Ultimax on maybe my Switch or whatever console it's on sale for. Again, just, be conscientious of my budget, watch for sales specifically versus just the chance I can spend $60 on it, and I should be fine. PS4, Switch, and PC. Awesome. Honestly, I think the only two games I've managed to get a copy for on my two consoles, PS4 and Switch, are both Royal Persona 5 and Strikers, because I think, I just have Tactica on Switch, but I have Strikers on both PS4 and Switch as well. But, like, I mean, even with the Switch having its Persona games, like, still for quite a while now, my PS4 is still kind of more so my major Persona machine. But yeah, I have to get stuff for my PS5. 80% of what's installed on my PS5 is PS4 stuff. Honestly, you know what? That's fair. Because, like, I will say, like, it's not like all PS games from the moment the PS5 launches had to be PS5 exclusives, but it's like they could have had a few more exclusive for the 5 recently, and hopefully they do kick it up, because, like, come on. But I digress. Anything else we got left to say? I'll give it one more second. Going once. Going twice. Play Persona 3 Portable. Yes. Even if just for Persona. Like, God damn it. There is a reason, even after Reload, and even with people talking about FES's few little trademarks, and I get that, like, Katone carries Portable for a damn good reason, and then some. So, like, please, I agree with Feather. Go play Portable. Feather, drop your YouTube channel. Cocks like a Nerf gun. Drop your channel! No pressure, though, really. Probably gonna play 5 on the PS3 after. That is based, too. That is based. From what I hear, it's just, like, maybe the tiniest frame rate or, like, loading differences, but other than that, P5 is just as much of a gem on 3 as it is on 4. And then 5 Royal, and 3 FES, and 3 Reload, and Portable, etc. are all FES, Reload, and Portable. Thank you, Feather. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. Then as long as everybody else here says their last pieces, in addition to all of that, nope. Nah, it's okay. I pseudo-threatened you to drop your stuff, so you're good. Like I said, I pretended to threaten you with Nerf for nothing. Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciated everybody coming in to just geek out about the little things we like, about the different games and characters. Even started up touching on a not Persona game, touching up on Catherine a little bit there. That was really cool too. So, like, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today. And please, even though this is the last day and we're halfway-ish through the last day, stick around and enjoy the whole rest of PersonaCon 2024. I'm sure we'll be ready to go for 2025 virtual con and everything next year, but even so, like, enjoy 2024 while it's here, because thankfully we're not going to be right smack dab in 2025 for the next one yet. So, you know, really make the best for the rest of this one. So thank you all so much for having me on Discord and on Twitch as well. And whenever I catch you all, I'll be happy to see you then. But until then, take care, everybody, and have a good week. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Good night, everybody. I'm not sure exactly what's next up in PersonaCon, but go check it out. That's a threat, too. A pseudo-threat, but a threat. Bye.